Welcome back to McNulty's Book Corral, and we are returning once again to the theme of monsters for the month of October. And in this episode, we're going to cover 4 books about the Frankenstein monster, obviously created by Mary Shelley. I thought that I would cover 4 of the books by Jean-Claude Carriere, who was a French Academy Award-winning French actor, director, and screenwriter, and he is no longer with us, but in the 1950s when he was a student, he wrote 6 books about the Frankenstein monster, taking off on what he believed would have happened to the creature after the conclusion of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And in his belief was that the monster was immortal, and so he tracked the monster in a series of acclaimed books that were eventually translated into English, and the translation is by Denise Morden, and the first one was Frankensteins Tower, and we'll have that coming up right here. I'll have a scan of that. It's a lot of fun to have this stuff. Let me just had to move the camera there. There was a little bit of a little glitch going on over here with the electrical circuit, so I switched it. Okay, so Frankensteins Tower is the first of the 6. I only have 4, and I have not seen 5 and 6 translated to English or on the English market. That doesn't mean they don't exist. That means I can't find them. I've looked, don't know where they are. Probably in French editions, certainly, but they didn't get them to here. So in the first one, he's reanimated, and he goes on a savage rampage, and he briefly falls in love. The writing is pretty clean. It's pretty vicious depiction of the Frankenstein monster. Not a sympathetic character, really. You get kind of wrapped up in the quest that he has for love. That's there. But perhaps typical of the French, it's unrequited love. So number 1, Frankenstein's Tower. Number 2 is Frankenstein's Tread. And here we find him on a zombie-haunted island off the coast of Scotland. I'm sorry, Frankenstein's Tread looks like this. I will have the scan up. And again, this is number 2 in the English translation, and it is all by Denise Morden, whoever that is. She translated these books. Number 3, The Knight of Frankenstein. And this is the book where we find him in the Swiss Alps. He's in league with a really rotten priest, and they're going to preside over the creation of a superhuman hybrid race. Sounds really wacky, and it is. And also there's a really attractive young lady in the nearby village that the monster has his eyes on. Now, the monster's name is Garul, and I'm probably mispronouncing that. He's named after the first guttural sound he made when he was created by Dr. Frankenstein, and it is spelled Gouroull. Garul is his name. That's the name he's known by and referred to in the books. So the Knight of Frankenstein has him in the Swiss Alps. Different location for each of the 4 books. And the final one that I have is the Seal of Frankenstein, which is number 4. And here is the cover for that, popping up here for you. And number 4 follows along the same themes. He's left a trail of death and misery, okay, in all 4 of these books. He is a nasty character. He's a monster. And now he's in the early 20th century, and he falls in love. He's fascinated with a beautiful woman who is incarcerated in a nearby lunatic asylum. That lends itself to some interesting circumstances. I like these books. They're not very well known in the United States. There is an American author named Frank Schildener, I hope I pronounced that right, who is a pulp author. New pulp fiction is a literary trend where writers are writing in the style of the old pulp magazines, and Frank does a really good job with that. He did 3 continuations of Jean-Claude Carriere's Garrule Frankenstein books. Really good books. I have the first 2, and I'm trying to get the 3rd one, and I'll cover those later, maybe, who knows, next year or something, whenever I complete that trilogy. I don't have them all. I also don't have number 5, Frankenstein Prowls, in this series, and number 6, Frankenstein's Cellar. I don't believe they've been translated yet. So, a note on these books, and this happened in my last episode, I should have mentioned it. The books that I'm showing you are really collector's items. These are really high-priced books on Amazon and eBay, whenever you can find them listed. These particularly, I think, must have had a very low print run here in the United States, because they are not easy to find at a reasonable price at all. If I'm wrong and you find any of these at a reasonable price and you're a fan of the Frankenstein monster, pick them up. You'll enjoy reading them, and you'll have a rarity, an oddity, because they're not out there. There's not a lot out there. They're just not found easily. And again, 5 and 6 I don't have. So really interesting books, carrying on the tradition of Frankenstein. I love the moody covers on these. Frankenstein's Tread and the Frankensteins Tower are the best. Of course, the Karloff image is, obviously was the inspiration here. But fun books. Jean-Claude Carriere did this in the 1950s when he was a university student. He loves the Frankenstein monster so much. It's a fascinating character, and the way he writes him is fascinating as well. I think you'll enjoy them if you can find them. And, I don't mean to... I know that I've done this before, where I'm holding up books and I'm saying, this is really great if you can read it. And the books are really almost impossible to find. So I apologize for that. I am a collector, so I'm simply telling you about some collector's items. If you're lucky enough to get your hands on any of these, do so. At least you're familiar with them now. And that's the best I can do sometimes, because, these books, there's a market for this stuff, but the publishers and the copyright owners often tie their shoelaces together, one shoe from one foot to the other foot, and they don't know what to do. So, anyways, the Frankenstein series by Jean-Claude Carriere, the Frenchman, and really fun stuff. And until next time, stay well, stay happy, feed your brain, read a book.